everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so thankful y'all are here. I pray you can find home here, and if so, welcome. So having an anxious attachment style is way more common than I think I even realized that a lot of us realize. We feel like it's only 0.01% of the population that attaches to other people in an anxious style, but really it's millions of people. Our society has been conditioned to depend on other people, to depend on others' validation, to get a sense of self from the external. So anxious attachment styles are way more prevalent than you may know. The belief, the underlying mindset is that you either love me or you hate me. You either want to work this out, you want to talk this out, you want to do this, or you're literally going to break up with me tomorrow in 1 second. You literally hate me and despise me. What else? We're either on the same page and agree about every little thing, or we disagree and we're just not compatible. We're not for each other. This is not going to work. So when you attach to somebody through anxiety, through anxious attachment, you learn to connect through uncertainty. You learn to connect through instability, through this feeling of abandonment, of I don't know if this person is going to stay. I don't know if I'm going to stay. I don't know. I'm trying to guess what they're thinking. I don't know what I'm feeling. It's a lot of unsureness. And the truth is, with anxious attachment styles, it starts before we get into relationships. It starts with us as an individual. A lot of times when we get into relationships without fully knowing ourselves, when we get into relationships without knowing what it is we really need, what we want, what type of person would be best for us in the long run, when we don't know and we're just running off of desperation, wanting to feel loved, needing validation, just not feeling good by ourselves, we end up putting a dependency on another person to regulate our self-esteem, to regulate our sense of worth. So that's why we attach anxiously, because this person is now becoming the reason why we're worthy, the reason why we're lovable or likable. We basically put our entire sense of value on having a relationship, on having that person there. So it all starts with you as an individual. If you're not secure on your own, you will easily fall into these type of relationships where you're anxious and you don't want to let go, but you do because you don't know if they're going to let you go. And there's this whole back and forth mess that's riddled with anxiety because y'all aren't facing problems as a couple, as a joint unit. Y'all are facing the problem as two individuals who don't even know if they want to work the problem out together. Y'all are still confused on who you are, on what y'all needed before you got into the relationship. So now you're finding out that this person may not even be what you need. You start to realize that you've given so much of yourself for that temporary relief of not being alone, of not having somebody there. And all these feelings will eventually come up. If you don't do the work while you're single, if you don't do the work as an individual, there's no relationship that can soothe your sense of insecurity. There's no relationship that can make you feel better about who you are than yourself. There's no relationship that's going to heal you as much as you can heal yourself. So that's why with a lot of anxious attachment styles, it may start off amazing. It may start off maybe a little too good, because when you go from lonely, desperate, miserable by yourself to this person who's telling you all these sweet things, and it can be genuine, but you get this person who's now telling you all these sweet things. They're telling you that you're lovable, that you're valuable, that you're beautiful or handsome. It's almost like you're going to get a high from that, and you're going to attach onto that person, and now your self-esteem is up here. Now your sense of worth and sense of value is up here, because y'all are connecting on that level of mirroring back to each other value. I love you, you're great, you're this, you're that. But like I said, as individuals, if you cannot maintain that level of security and confidence on your own, it's bound to fall apart because the relationship is not built on us facing the world, us facing our problems. It's based on us fulfilling a temporary need, fulfilling a temporary sense of loneliness or desperation. And just like feelings come, they also go. So you want to build a relationship off of things that are more rational, that are more practical and reliable. Feelings are not. You may feel lonely sometimes, but if you seek a relationship just because you're lonely, that's not going to end well, okay? With anxious attachment styles, the relationship is very black and white. That's why a lot of times in this type of relationship, you have one person who's desperate to work out situations or arguments, desperate to communicate, and then you have the other person who's doing the exact opposite. So typically there's this push and pull type of dynamic because y'all were once dependent on each other for that sense of worth, but now that y'all got that from each other, there's still this knowing that y'all need to go back home to yourselves. So when one person pulls away, the other person is chasing them down out of that anxiety, like, no, don't leave me. I need you to feel my abandonment wound. I need you to band-aid the insecurities that I'm not dealing with. So say that works, and now the other person who was starting to go back home to themselves, starting to realize that they need healing themselves, turns around and starts showing them love again. Now this person is going to turn around and say, no, wait, I need to heal myself, because even though you may not consciously know, when it comes to anxious relationships, when it comes to anxious attachment, there's a subconscious knowing that you are not completely healed as far as being good, being stable and secure on your own. So this push and pull happens because for each partner, there's a knowing that, wait, there's more work I need to do by myself. But when you also have this person who's now dependent on your attention, dependent on your love, you may kind of go back and forth between like, what should I do? I love this person, but I need my space. I love this person, but it's not working out and I feel unsafe. So the biggest thing is that you have to cultivate a sense of safety within yourself. You have to cultivate a sense of knowing that you'll always be okay throughout life by yourself. If you use a relationship to help you feel like life is going okay, or that you're successful in life, or for whatever reason outside of genuinely loving and knowing that person, you're bound to fail because you're now placing a part of your core onto them. You're making them responsible for your core stability, and that's not sustainable in any connection. So a lot of people end up having this anxious attachment style because you reject yourself. You reject parts of you that are very natural to you, yet you've taken in maybe some criticism from somebody else, or you just reject parts of you that you feel like you shouldn't be. Say, for example, I can be very awkward. My personality is very quirky, and for the longest time, I rejected myself. So when somebody else would come along and really love me and really show appreciation for my personality, because I didn't have that confidence within myself, I would now attach a sense of confidence for my personality onto that person, and I would see a sense of validation within them, like, oh, they're the reason why I'm valid. They're the reason why my personality is okay. I feel good about myself because they're showing me that I'm worthy, I'm lovable. And the reason this doesn't work out again is because humans are humans. Some days we're just not going to feel like validating our partner. Some days we're going to need an extra hand. Some days your partner cannot show up to you for you in the ways that you really need. So if your sense of self is dependent upon that partner, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to go down with your partner when they can't validate you. your sense of self is going to go down with their emotions. So being a human being is already complicated enough. So when you reject yourself, when you judge yourself really harshly, and you put all these stipulations on yourself for what you should and should not feel, what you should and should not want, because you've been taught a certain way, or you kind of view yourself how your parents viewed you, or whatever it is, you end up depending on other people to feel good about yourself. You depend on other people to accept you because there's part of you that's rejecting yourself. And like I always say, we may not consciously realize we're rejecting ourselves, but our